For some reaction then on this story, I'm joined by Richard Mamabolo, who is spokesperson for the Police and Prison Civil Rights Union, Popcru, and he joins me via Zoom. And Richard, thank you for joining me. I don't think this needs any coloring on my side. The EFF leader, Julius Malema, speaking there. I'm sure you've heard. What's your reaction?
Yeah, look, I think the first point we need to make is that whenever there are protests taking place, it's every South African's right to protest, of course. However, when arranging a protest, there are certain steps that are to be followed. Obviously, there have to be meetings between all stakeholders and those interested, looking into issues around the bylaws, looking into issues around safety for both those who would be protesting and the nearby communities. And of course, the fact that you need to obviously have law enforcement officers who would be part of that march to ensure that safety. So it cannot be police's fault that when some of these protests are arranged and when they had been agreements about how they will go by, then people want to change things at the last minute. So we're quite worried about this trend that Julius has been demonstrating. I think it's the second time now in a very short space of time where he has insulted police. I mean, just in September alone in Polokwane, police were insulted on the basis that they were doing their job. Yet this guy is a member of parliament. He's a public representative who is supposed to understand. In fact, they are the ones who come up with the laws around how police need to conduct themselves. So it cannot be that EFF need to be accorded special treatment when it comes to protests. However, most worrying is the fact that police have been dying in the recent past. We've got over 70 police officers who have been killed recently, and yet you get a member of parliament who continues to say that police must even be attacked within their homes. It means that this has got a potential to create problems for those who are related to police officers, their immediate families, of course, and it cannot be allowed. We think that Mr. Julius Malema needs to retract such words. Every time he gets around his crowd, he gets so excited that he says things that are out of line with ensuring that we build good working relations with police and communities so that we deal with crime jointly. If we have public representatives such as Mr. Julius Malema continuing to say such words, it then poses a danger for the role that police will play within our communities.
So the word attack is not directly used by the EFF leader there. I've got the transcription of his words. However, he does say that we will not only fight them at the picket lines, we will go to their homes and fight them in their own homes. And your expression is that you are actually concerned that this could lead to police officers being attacked at home.
We have seen such statements being issued. You remember Hitler used to say certain things about the Jews, and all of a sudden, within a short space of time, Jews were being killed by the Hitler regime. So anything which incites violence, of course, should be taken with the necessary caution. And we think that Julius has got, as a public figure, by the way, we've seen things that he has said. Some of them have been repeated religiously. So it cannot be something that should be undermined. What happens now that we are saying police, we've lost over 70 police this year alone, and what then happens when the numbers start growing? Should we not obviously think that part of the encouragement that people, well, those who kill police get from such people?
You are not in any way comparing Julius Malema to Adolf Hitler, are you?
We are not, but there are certain tendencies which have repeated themselves within the global history, and of course, one of those could potentially be what Julius is pushing for. We cannot have people attacking police within even where they stay. We do not want to see any attack on police officers at all. We need dialogue. We think whatever challenges anybody might have within the country, there are platforms for dialogue, and we do not need to get to an extent where we encourage people to attack police.
What would you say to those who say there's something to be said, not a call to violence, but there's something to be said about the overzealousness of police in approaching certain categories of protesters versus other categories, right? Because some will say your members as well need to be criticized at some level in that regard. I did see that narrative in as far as Brackenfell is concerned, and I'm only raising it because, you know, I have to do that to put it to you, to say there will be some who are saying we're not justifying what Julius Malema has said, but actually you need to reflect as well, your members need to reflect as well.
Most definitely. I think your comparison comes from what happened in Senegal and what happened in Brackenfell. You remember that in Senegal, it was not expected that nobody had applied that they will be having a match there. And that is why you had so many protesters coming over without necessarily having gone through the process where all stakeholders engage on the kind of match that would take place so that they ensure that there is safety for those who are protesting. However, in the Brackenfell matter, there were engagements even before then when the EFF applied too much. And of course, there were certain timeframes and standards that were agreed by both parties. That is why we're saying it then became easily for certain standards to be, well, for police to obviously prepare in line with what has been agreed, unlike in the situation of Senegal where there was an ambush. So there is a difference really, but we do agree that whenever there are challenges, of course, our members need to do self-introspection, but as well, we cannot continually, perpetually have a situation where police are obviously being undermined in the manner that they are, especially when you compare where the criticism is coming from. There are platforms to engage, of course, and we're not saying police should not be engaged or anything, or they're always right. But however, we need to ensure that we always work.
Richard, I'm out of time, and I must say that, you know, when I was literally splitting, well, not literally, I was splitting hairs when I was talking about the, you know, the issue of using the word attack versus saying we will not only fight you at the picket lines, we will go to your homes. I just wanted, because, you know, these debates do arise in the wake of certain pronouncements by a public figure, that people will then be splitting hairs on what exactly this particular person meant. Lastly, and very briefly, Richard, you want Julius Malema to retract these statements. What are you doing to ensure that he does?
Look, we will obviously be engaging with the SAPS, the management, of course, around that. But also, I think one of the ways which we propose is obviously to have some kind of dialogue wherein we agreed on the standards within which we approach some of the challenges. And of course, that would obviously also include self-criticism.
All right, thank you for that. That is Richard Mamabolo of the Police and Prisons Civil Rights Union, Popcru, talking to us there about the pronouncements and statements made by EFF leader Julius Malema.